Called improv here, so you just need to dance for a little bit until once Adam says we can go, we can go.
I've been filming for the last.
Oh, sweet. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is all about extremes because I'm going to be riding my most experienced horse and my most inexperienced horse. She's 100% going to buck when I ask her to canter. And we're going to be looking at the vast difference between how I train the two mares. So stay tuned and enjoy. Special guest, Nina. We used to be good friends.
We still are.
Yeah. Not from what I'm looking at now, which you will see in just a minute, but if you haven't seen my previous vlogs with the lovely Nina, this is Nina from Fancy Footwork Poles and Grids. You can follow her on Instagram and Facebook. You've come up with what was just described as a monstrosity, and I'm going to stick with that word because if we walk on in here, this is what you want me to do on Dee, and I did just big her up as my most experienced horse. Can you talk us through this?
So it's a work of art. So we'll obviously start off with it a little bit lower, so everything will be flat on the floor to start with, and we'll work through in stages, some raised poles and a couple of cheeky little skinny jumps in there that I've never done
very,
before.
very cheeky. Yeah.
And this is the option of being a jump, which again I've never done like this before, so it'll be fine. So my crash test dummy
yeah,
today.
literally sounds like I'm a guinea pig for the day.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to start off with the most experienced one, which should have been the less scary ride of the two, but looking at this, I'm not so sure. I am now on the lovely Dee and I'm walking through the not so lovely pole work exercise that my nemesis has set up for me. But as I mentioned, I'm riding my most experienced horse. Dee is now 12 or 13, but I've had her from a 4-year-old. She's done loads with me. She's got up to B100 and I'm already making mistakes. So Nina has set up a pretty savage exercise. Nina, can you tell people what kind of things that this is gonna help me work on or highlight things that I need to work on?
I think this exercise covers most lines that you will be using for any pole work. We've got really tricky, tight, accurate, intricate lines. We've got a very narrow line that goes through the middle. We test the horse's spatial awareness, asking it to move between narrow but raised poles as well. We've got the option of raising these poles here up onto the jump stands and making it into a jump in 2 different directions. We've got poles at the beginning that will help to ride with the bend and things. So we're working on suppleness down there. Get run over. We have got jumps coming out of a square. So this is something that I've never done before in a clinic. You are the first person to tackle this. So the line will be to come through the line of trot poles into the square and then build this up to a narrow skinny.
So
it doesn't
get
trot
jumping it.
Narrow, sorry.
Am I trot jumping it?
Yeah, you're going to trot in.
Hello everyone, it's your favourite voiceover artist other than Morgan Freeman. It is of course VoiceOver Meg, here to talk you through what was going on at this point in time. So what you just watched there was Dee's first time trotting through Nina's creation, shall we call it. And you can see despite her being very experienced with pole work, it got her thinking and we had a little hiccup in the triangle. And it took us a few times to actually go through this properly. It was only when I started putting a bit more sort of speed and impulsion into the trot that we made a better job of it. And I think this does highlight how doing these non-conventional pole formations can be amazing at getting the horses thinking for themselves and actually making their own decisions. So Nina was very strict. She told me just to keep Dee straight and let her figure out the rest. And you can see we really do start to improve. So before we start raising anything up, Dee Dee finishes by trotting through the spider part of the diagram. We walk through everything first and then trot through. It just means if you make any mistakes, they're not going to be too drastic because all of the poles are on the ground.
The benefits are just endless. It's a complete whole body workout, so you'll get a lovely stretch through the neck and through the back. As the head and neck go down, that will start to, as the head and neck lower, that will start to recruit her abdominal muscles and work her core, and then you get the lift through the limbs and the bend through the joints.
I'm assuming you can canter, could you?
Yes, you could, yeah, because it's all 3 metre distances.
It just looks terrifying.
Good. Well done. So we can't afford to have her too sort of bold and pulling you into it. She needs to sort of still sit waiting, but we also don't want her backwards. That was super. Yeah, love that. Good job. Help her as much as you need to, but no more.
Or just not at all, apparently. Good pony.
Good. So you found a good line into that now.
Shall I come up the centre line?
Go on then. So just keep thinking of the rhythm. Now, to canter through here, you need to be absolutely arrow straight. Good. Very good, Meg. Well done.
Oh, quite cool. Well done, Dee, for getting us out of that.
But not too bold, just make her wait. Steady, waiting. What a clever girl, well done. Good job, good.
Oh, I love that.
Love it, well done.
Through, boss.
In this direction, we now need to try and just dial it back down a little bit, because what I would like to do is for you to have enough control to say to her, coming when it gets a little bit bigger, coming in this direction, we're going to jump it.
Yeah.
So we're going to canter in and sort of, it's going to create a little jump. But coming this way, we want to say to her, but we're going to stay and trot all the way through down the centre line.
Oh, we're trotting that way.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Should I start with trot?
Yes. Be able to trot when you need to trot and jump when you want to jump. Good girl. So keep coming till she's just a little bit more comfortable. So you can see she had a look, she sort of worked out what it was to do, and then her answer was just to be a little bit quick through it. So we want to just encourage her just to sort of to sit and wait a little bit more as she comes through. Good girl. That's it, like, just take her time. Don't just sort of skip over it and think, oh, but I want to make that bigger. You need to sort of address, that's better, that's much better, good,
well
good.
done.
Bigger problems further down the line. Good,
Good
well
girl.
done. That's okay. So what was really nice there, Meg, is that she had a look, and rather than you forcing her, you sat quiet, you let her think, and she just worked it out. So it doesn't matter that she didn't go through what we think is perfectly. What mattered is that she worked the problem out. Yeah, very good. Well done.
It's been a pleasure, guys. If I don't survive this, thank you for all subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now, it's free.
So this is something that you could trot into if you wanted to, or if you're on a horse that feels that it would benefit from trot more than the canter. It's entirely acceptable. Good job, well done.
Oh, come on. Oh, God, there goes the back end.
Around that change behind.
Whose idea was that, Dee?
You did it, you just changed your approach a little bit, and you came in just a little bit shallow.
Okay.
And it just wasn't quite as precise from you.
Dee's like, I am not listening to Mum anymore.
From a horse's point of view, there's no real sort of part to tell them where to take off.
No, and like you don't have time to see a shot to it.
No.
So if you come off the corner and you're not right,
absolutely,
there's not many options.
Yeah, no, just hold the neck strap.
It's quite good just being like, you can't see a stride to this, so actually work on your canter and work on your turn.
Absolutely, yeah. As long as you set the canter up and you can sit in the same rhythm and sort your line out, then the rest of it should hopefully be be there.
So at this point we've basically worked through the entire exercise, but lovely Nina was saving the hardest bit till last. So I walked Dee through the formation first, then we trotted through like so, and the point of this was to do trot jumping skinnies out of angled poles. It gets hard, guys.
So don't let her accelerate coming in. Keep her on that line.
I'm actually nervous.
So remember, it's her job to tackle whatever's in front of her, but it's your job to put her there.
Dee, have you seen they've gone up, love?
Support with the leg, but do no more than that. Because I felt like it was her that accelerated a little into it, and that's okay, as long as it's coming from her and not from you, sort of trying to commit her.
I completely gave Dee the reins then. I didn't want to be involved.
No, yeah, exactly, that's okay. Good, well done, that's fine. So this distance is perhaps just a shade too long for her.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's a tiny bit long.
So don't let her rush, but keep your trot nice and active. Good. Yeah, love that. Well done. There's a lot going on there, isn't there?
There's an awful lot going on.
A lot going on. Yeah, good.
Good. All right, let's go to the top. Top of the pops.
And also, it looks really horrible as well.
I feel a little bit sick. Do you reckon this is a good idea, or do you reckon we should call it a day? I actually think this is a really bad idea.
So just make sure that you don't over-exaggerate with your upper body.
Okay.
Over the fence itself, okay?
Okay. Oh, it's not really
doesn't rush, steady.
Good. Oh.
Good, well done.
This is really hard. Oh. It's such a big effort for them to trot jump that, isn't it?
And they've got this, they're coming over a corner, they've got sort of a corner as their placing pole, as it were.
It's horrible.
It will be much easier to come out over a straight pole to it than a corner.
Oh, well done, Dee.
Nice job.
Good.
Well done. So if you knew your horse was going to canter, you would obviously have these a little bit of a longer distance, okay? Yeah. Too powerful, but with energy there when you need it, but don't let her rush.
Dee, what did she just say about not rushing? It's like she gets in and she just goes full panic mode.
So she does, I mean, she did it over here as well. Her default reaction when she's not quite sure of something is to throw herself at it.
Yeah, literally.
Little push. Now hold and push. Yeah. Good. Oh, well done.
I feel like even though that came down, she actually went a lot better.
Much better job. Yeah, I didn't expect her to knock it down.
I wonder if we just pop that bit lower
down again
and let her go through it this way. Yeah, when it's lower. Just because I really felt for her then. She tried so hard to do what I was asking, and then we just got...
It's really important that people understand that they have to listen to their horse. When their horse sort of tells them there's an issue, there's no point in doing it over and over and over again, you know, because you're too proud to change it, which will then just lead to more and more sort of issues further down the line.
Amen to that. I'm a firm believer of going back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, circles and putting fences down are my top sponsors.
Well, if it gets you a third place at badminton, Meg, it's obviously not a bad thing, is it? Now wait. Good,
well done,
very good.
Sweetheart. Oh, well done, darling.
So, Meg, I can't help but think, and forgive me for saying it, but some of Dee's issues when they were different before we moved them was some of your projections as well.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, because when they go up, they're quite imposing, and I don't ride. Well, I feel like I don't do as much because I get a bit stressed.
But that was just perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Much better off to take a step back at that level, just as you did, than wait until the problem escalates and becomes a real problem.
Oh God, yeah.
But what
100%.
I loved about her is that she came through and she jumped, and then she was really quiet. The next time, she didn't then sort of, you know, get more and more sort of spicy as the session went on. She sort of still listened to you, still came back to you, and still got the job done. Yeah. Fab.
Okie dokie. So I've gone from my most experienced horse to very much my least experienced horse. So Nina, I'm sure you already know, but this is Winnie. She's 4 years old and she has literally just got back from the breakers. So she's as green as they come. She's done a few trot poles at the breakers just to kind of keep her interested. Schoolwork very much isn't her favourite thing to do, which is why I'm keen to introduce poles to her now, just so when she comes in here, it's not just trotting around in circles.
Yeah, good plan.
The whole time. So I'm hoping you can show me the best way of introducing her to poles.
Okay, so I think obviously she's done poles at the breakers, and I'm guessing that you've done some in hand and groundwork with her before she sort of went off to the breakers, so she's familiar with poles. But at this sort of age, it's really important that we don't overwhelm her at all. So we just keep it really, really simple, 1 or 2 poles. There's still so many things that we can do with that, and just sort of teach her that, you know, that there's sort of something to go over and hopefully not be knocked. Knocked sort of around the school. But we want to make it very easy. We put very easy questions in front of her so that she can find the answers quite easily and stay confident. What we don't want to do at this stage, or at any stage, is overface them and risk compromising their confidence.
So it's Megan Freeman back to talk you through Winnie Woo's warm-up. So obviously Winnie is as green as those trees you can see in the background there, guys. She has really done very little schoolwork, and as I did just mention, she's not a big fan of it. So the whole point of this session was to keep it short and sweet and just figure out some good things to do with her for when we do occasionally go in the school, which is about once a week. I mostly like to do hacking with my babies. I think they learn so much out hacking, and they don't know they're learning because they quite enjoy it. So just having a good old trot round here with Winnie. I'm keeping the shapes really easy, not making her do any twisty turns or anything like that, because that will just tire her out quicker. The main things that I want to focus on with her at the minute is just getting her forward. If you've watched a couple of previous videos of me riding her, you'll see she can be a little bit stuffy. She can throw the odd buck in when she goes into canter. So the main thing is to get her forwards and not worrying about where her head is at all. That really isn't a priority at the moment. Those things will come, but you can't get any of that without having them forward and engaged behind. So then we're going to pop up into the canter, and ironically I was absolutely chuffed with this transition, guys. It just shows the difference, doesn't it, between working with Dee and then working with Winnie. But it's so important to remember what horse you're on and to praise them for what they do well. So in Winnie's case, that was a good canter transition. She is prone to popping a little buck sometimes, so I was really pleased that we just got that tiny leg raise, and then she did go forward. You can see she's hanging a little bit at the gate, but that's such a common baby occurrence. The main thing for me was that she went forward and she didn't object too much, and you can see she gets lots of praise when she does this. It's just about trying to make the work in the school fun and engaging. I promise all of the schooling will come later, but you're so much better off just putting in these positive bits of work early on rather than focusing on things like outline.
Chance to see it, to work out what it is that she has to do. That's good. Good girl.
Drifting.
Well so she's clearly not phased. She gave it a little tap then. And I personally don't mind if they give it a tap and they then don't react. So what you don't want is that they give it a tap and then scare themselves and then start to question the pole. So the fact that she's confident enough just to give it a little tap and it not then bother her is a good thing. Good girl, well done. Gives you the chance to practice the transitions, which obviously for any horse, but particularly for a baby,
very
are a really
important.
Good thing.
Steady, steady.
So just planning that downwards transition.
Ooh.
Good.
Good girl.
And then she can use the energy, from the trot into the walk, and it will help her then get over the pole that little bit easier.
Good.
So the first exercise was just having this one pole in the middle of the arena and doing a figure of 8 over it. So we started in walk, then we started walking over it but putting in trot transitions for the circles. And as Nina just mentioned, this is so good for babies. You have to do hundreds of transitions to get nice ones eventually. So it's a nice way of introducing them, but again in a way that they don't get too sick of it because they're actually concentrating on going over the pole. So after we'd done that a little bit, we progressed up into the trot and just trotted over it there. Nina was great at highlighting how important it is to get the timings right with babies. So you obviously don't want to rush them forward, but equally you don't want to do too much that they become tired and then associate being tired with the pole work. So it's all about reading your individual horse and just making sure that you move them forward as and when is necessary.
If you skip the walk, and you come straight in at trot, then you're potentially having a problem.
Yeah.
So again, we just show her now the 2 poles in walk, and with this, we can obviously work in different directions. So it's not always a case of going over the poles that's going to be beneficial. We can also halt in between the poles as well. Good. That's super. So ordinarily, Meg, I would, if you've got a horse who reacts a little bit more than she just did, I would say to do it again in walk. But again, we've only got a certain amount of energy to work with, so you don't want to use it all up in the walk and then have too tired for the trot.
Yeah.
So I'd probably come through in trot now. Yep. More time in the walk. There,
good win.
Well done. She looks so pleased with herself.
Yeah, that was incredible. Well done.
So always be prepared with a baby that's good, to adjust the strides as necessary. So with the older horses, we do want them to be the problem solving. Yeah. But with the babies, we just need to sort of just set the poles up in a better way, that they have a nice experience and it keeps them confident. And then you can always introduce questions in another time. That is lovely, good job.
Good girl, Win.
And then Meg, come down the centre line and make a walk transition between them.
Come on, forward.
So it's always really good to have a reference point like this and then continue on through one of the other little channels between the poles.
Forwards.
Nice, very good.
Good girl, Winnie. Very reactive to the voice.
And then the next time through, Meg, let's just make a walk transition just the length of the pole, and then we'll trot through these gaps in these poles. Nice, good. And then trotting on.
Come on. She says, what, already? Good.
Yeah, just to sort of to suit her energy levels.
Come on, walk past everyone.
Ooh. Good girl. Well done.
Walk on.
And then we'll just try that in trot. Good girl. So she's not fazed by those at all.
She now knows about, come on, the poles, doesn't she? It's good. She's a quick learner.
Can you feel her start to think for herself and start to apply the brakes a little bit on her own?
Yeah.
They're such clever things, girls.
You are. I reckon that might be a good place to...
I was just going to say, yeah, that's probably as much as you want to do with her.
Literally.
And then we'll whiz a saddle off and we'll do the in-hand one.
Yeah. Good girl, Winnie.
Okay, so Meg, this is a brilliant in-hand exercise. It's not one that I designed, it's one that I've seen used elsewhere, and I've started to adopt it into my own sort of clinics and layouts, and I absolutely love it. So horses, as we've seen, are quite happy walking over one pole, but when we start to introduce 2 poles to walk over, it can cause a little bit of a reaction. And what we're going to do is we're going to aim up to build up and put a 3rd pole in the middle. So we go 1 pole, 2 poles, 3 poles, 2 poles, 1. But this is again another whole body exercise because it encourages the horse to be longer in the length of stride because it's going over double the width of the poles. They will already be higher in the stride because it's going over the poles. And then by adding in the pole in the middle when she's ready, it will create a like really sort of big pole. High walk. Yeah. Okay, give her a head. So she was just a long way off that 1st pole. Well done, good girl. So yeah, she was a mile off the 1st pole, but she still got through. Yeah. Let's come again. That's better, good. Yeah, very good. Well done.
Good girl.
And it's so interesting to see, when you'll see it back when you watch the film, how far one of her legs travels is just ridiculous. So keep the energy. Good. Very good, well done. Lovely, got some really lovely lift through the front legs in particular. We'll go one more time the other way, and that's probably enough for her. It's so physically demanding.
Yeah.
It will literally, like I've said sort of previously, it works every part of her body as well as her brain. Good girl.
Oh, goodness me!
So she was just a long way off the first pole.
Okay.
So by the time she got to the middle poles, she was sort of quite flat in the walk by that point. That's okay. Okay, hang on. Need to do a bit of a rebuild. Good, well done, good. Very good. She comes across as knowing where her feet are. She's aware of her feet.
Yeah.
Which is a really lovely thing to see. I mean, the only time she touched that pole was when she was just a mile away from it. But other than that, she's sort of given, you know, the poles here some really lovely clearance.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good exercise for babies to teach them where their feet are, isn't it?
A brilliant exercise to do. You know, I'm a big fan of in-hand pole work anyway, so sort of groundwork using poles is invaluable. It gives you a chance to see what the horses are doing and how they're moving their bodies as well. And it's something that you can add in. There's no reason why you couldn't, say, do 10 minutes in-hand pole work and then get on and go for a hack.
Yeah.
And, you know, sort of start to build in 2 or 3 times a week, just sort of little short pole work sort of bursts to, you know, to help with their physical development and help with their mental agility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Invaluable stuff, isn't it, Winnie Boo? So, Winnie has ruined my white t-shirt, which means it is the end of this video. But it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, Nina, for coming.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
It's been absolutely fabulous. You know, you're a little bit mean with the Dee challenge.
I know, but then I was kind with this one, so, you know, give and take.
you were very kind with
balance.
this one. But hopefully it's given you guys an idea watching at home. Obviously, the Dee exercise was incredibly complex, but feel free to take elements of that. You don't need to set up the entire thing. You can use, you know, 4, 5, 6 poles, make a component of it, and, you know, work through exactly how we did. And obviously, if you are working with a young horse at the minute, I can't recommend this way of introducing them to poles enough. It was so good for working on things like bending, changing direction, transitions, all of the stuff that you need to do with a youngster.
Absolutely, don't be tempted to do too much too soon.
No, exactly, and I feel like the poles just keep them that bit more switched on. They almost don't realise
that they're working.
Exactly, which is kind of the main thing when you're working a baby, is just getting them to enjoy it, find it fun.
Enthusiastic,
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Are you going for another mark? Thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, comment down below, and if we get enough comments, you promise to come back?
I promise to come back, yes. I'll get my matchsticks out
to come back.
Make a more complex layout.
Exactly. Right, we live, laugh, love you. We'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.